doing well. The question is, how are you? You've been traveling all over the world. How are you feeling?
I feel fantastic. I do. I just recently got back about a week ago from coaching the men's national team for Bahrain. I've been coaching them for about the last year, and I was joking with a friend when I got back that before I left to go to Bahrain, I hadn't taken any COVID tests.
Uh-oh.
And I had no symptoms. I was feeling good. I'm practicing all the proper social distancing and wearing my mask and all the things you're supposed to do. So, but I hadn't taken any tests. And when I got to Bahrain, this is a country that's very, very, serious and adamant about, having all the proper testing protocols in place. And so I had to take a test when I got to the airport. And then there's a 4 day later test that you have to take. And then for the tournament that I was coaching in, because we were in a bubble, similar to what the NBA did out at Disney, we had testing requirements every 2 days for all of the 9 countries that were participating. So I got through 10 COVID tests, and I am negative. Happy to say.
Oh, I'm glad you're healthy. I'm glad you're healthy. Well, now that we're talking about COVID, you have to tell me, what has been getting you out of bed and keeping you going on some really difficult days? Because this has been a hard season, right, for so many people. What's kept you going?
This has been a hard season. You're right. I think the motivation behind why I continue to do what I do is just my pure passion and love for what I do. I've been blessed, Crystal, to have a chance to play professional sports. I've been blessed to be able to coach in professional sports, and now I'm at a point where I just realized the value of all of those experiences and having a chance to share those with young coaches or administrators or young players is something that every single day I pop up with an excitement and look forward to just an opportunity to share that information.
Well, that's good. I'm happy to hear it. I'm so happy we have this chance to talk and sort of, delve into your career and your journey, which I think is fascinating because I think you're Mr. Basketball. Not sure.
Oh, that's really sweet of you. Before we even go into the interview, there's something that is on my mind. I have to say, some years ago when I was working with the NBA Retired Players Association, we had a chance to hook up and do a very exciting project in Miami, Florida, where we did the fundraiser with then President Clinton and a very worthwhile cause. And I'm sure you remember, like I do, all of the nuances of making that event happen. But it was really a pleasure working with you and making that happen. And so haven't had a chance to spend much time with you since then, but it's really a pleasure to think about that memory and to have a chance to connect today.
Oh, great. No, thank you so much. And I appreciate you just diving in, helping to make certain that happen. So as an athlete, Mr. Vincent, tell us, when did you know you were sort of called to be an athlete? This was your thing. How did you know this?
I'll tell you what, in all honesty, growing up in Lansing, Michigan, I had an older brother, Jay Vincent, that went to Michigan State. And around 12, 13 years old, there was a rivalry in Lansing, Michigan between my brother Jay and Magic Johnson, who also grew up in Lansing, Michigan.
Okay.
And both of these guys were high school phenoms. I mean, 6'9", big afros, coming to the games, and there's 5,000 people at high school basketball games. And so it was that excitement of watching them play and watching that rivalry that really kind of propelled me into sports and deciding that was the avenue and purpose that was going to drive me into whatever I was going to have a chance to do. And since then, I've kind of worked hard and stayed on that track.
Wow. So you had people sort of close to you to emulate. And I mean, you had a brother and one of the greatest players of all time. So that's a lot. That's great. You were mentored, right?
Yeah. And it's interesting because even though those guys had no clue that, as far as my older brother, he just saw me as the younger brother who was always trying to tag along.
Right.
And Magic at that time, was Irvin Johnson. He wasn't Magic Johnson. He was Irvin Johnson. And so I think the two of them, way before they became stars in the NBA, were just guys who saw me as a guy that they were going to share information. They were going to, give me the inside tidbits on what it took for me to get to where they were, and they were mentors. And so a lot of why I have stayed in the game, coaching or working with youth, is because this space around mentoring is so important. It's so valuable. And so we have so many coaches around the world who, they volunteer time. They give up time to work with kids. Some of them played the game, some of them didn't.
Right.
But they always find a way to allocate some time toward, trying to help youth improve in what they're trying to do. And it's so valuable and it's so important that it's just, it's such a worthwhile cause.
Well, I want to talk a bit about you as a coach. So you've been a player and you had a great career, and then you ended up coaching, but not for just any player, right? The greatest player of all time is Michael Jordan, reached out to you and you were his first coach, right? And I think that's significant.
Well, I might have been the first coach that Michael brought to Charlotte. I was the second coach in the Charlotte Bobcats history at that time.
Okay.
There was a well-known NBA head coach named Bernie Bickerstaff, who was the coach before I came. Bernie started the franchise and got the team off to a real good start. And then I was contacted by Michael with the opportunity to come on as Michael's first selection. And, it was and it still is such a great honor to have been selected as a basketball coach by Michael Jordan. Someone who knows the game, loves the game, has tremendous respect for the game, and then came and said, "Hey, Sam, I want you to, be my head coach." And even though, Crystal, that journey was fairly short-lived, I survived there for a year. The opportunity to work with Michael as a young African-American coach with an African-American owner and someone who was so legendary to the game is still very special to me. And it's something that I share a lot when I'm talking to kids or I'm talking to African-American kids, that you can dream to be whatever you want to dream to be. There's no limit. And using Michael sometimes as a reference point is always appreciated.
Yeah, and I think in this particular moment, you hit on something. The fact that two African-American men were in this position to elevate the other, one could elevate the other. But not only that, Sam, but for him to select you meant he trusted you, right? And so in a lot of ways in his legacy, you will go down as the first person he selected. And I think that's significant. It's a great historical moment as well.
Well, I do look at it that way, as an honor, as an incredible opportunity, as something that I will always look back and cherish. Not only did I get a chance to play with Michael in Chicago in some incredible years, but I had a chance to coach for him as well. So something that will always be very, very special and very dear to me.
Awesome. But now that you are in a different space, a lot of people don't know what you're doing, but this is one of the reasons I think you're Mr. Basketball. Now you've taken your talents overseas, right? Your coaching talents. And you were just, you started out saying, where you had been. I think a lot of people have no idea, like, what you're really up to and what you've been doing overseas. Want to tell us?
I've been working in Bahrain for about the last 5 years. I've been coaching in their professional league, but most recently started coaching their national team. And for me, it's an opportunity, really kind of through this relationship I have with the AAU to foster international sports development. So when I'm there as a coach, I'm on the court, I'm coaching, but I'm always doing clinics or programs where I'm still supporting kids and finding ways to share principles that I think are very important for them to learn.
And what are some of those principles? Because we have people listening, Sam, and we've talked about this, that COVID is causing people to pivot in ways they never imagined. And when you look at the length of your career, you may not see it, but you've been able to stay in the space and you've continued to pivot and reinvent yourself. What are some of the things that you've been able to sort of fall back on or
Well, I have a program
Mhm,
called Championship Principles.
mhm,
And those principles are 9 principles that I consider lessons I learned from 3 of the greatest NBA players of all time, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, and Larry Bird. And those principles are soft principles, passion, being really passionate about what you do, respect, understanding how to respect your players, your coaches, referees, communication, verbal and nonverbal, preparation, appreciation, loyalty, and competitive spirit. So these are things that I really think sometimes get lost in today's young players, and something that I call championship principles that every player needs to learn and figure out how to use. And it really makes a difference in how they perform, both on the court and off the court.
mhm. Awesome. So you're now doing something with what I call sort of really c- cementing your legacy. So you've been a player, coach, and now there's a new group you're working with. It's not new in sports, but now you're working with the AAU. And if anyone knows anything about basketball, we know that that is like the foundation for so many great athletes. So now you are having influence in that space. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I'm excited to talk about the AAU. The Amateur Athletic Union is a 100-year-old plus nonprofit organization that for years has, been one of the leaders in organizing national tournaments, regional tournaments across 30 different sports.
Mhm.
And one of the missions that they have now is to go international and to really expand their brand around the world.
Mhm.
And so, because of some of the national relationships and resources I have, I was contacted by the AAU president and said, "Hey, Sam, listen, we'd like for you to carry that international banner for us." So I've been making relationships and expanding sports related opportunities internationally, and I've just got some fantastic partners. I've been able to partner with the State Department through their sports diplomacy arm, and we've got some initiatives that we're going to roll out in February. I've been able to partner with some of the parks and recreations, both nationally and internationally. So, this space around really sharing and building and developing you through sports is what the AAU is all about. So when they asked me to join and take on this mission, I was only too happy to jump in.
So, and why do you think it's so important in this particular moment for you to do this work, right? I mean, beyond sports, but as a Black man that has navigated through life and you found success, why do you think this moment is so significant for your involvement with AAU and for others for that matter?
Well, I think mainly because it is a challenging time.
Mhm.
I think COVID-19 has really created some obstacles, some adversity, and I think people are trying to figure out how to re-engage. Kids have been completely disconnected with a lot of different things that they're used to doing, school, sports, and so I think it really takes reconnecting with your passion, things that you really love to do and things that you're really going to put your highest level of energy and support in.
Mhm.
And so for me to have a chance to connect with people who understand that mission, and what it's all about, but to also try to find ways to reconnect with what they love and want to do, that's just really special for me. So whenever I get an opportunity to come on and talk about, just how important it is to realize that you survived COVID. If we're here today, there's a lot of people who didn't survive COVID.
That's
So
exactly right.
we're here, and it's a different playing field. But you have to find ways to still apply yourself and make a difference and
Mhm.
make a positive difference. And I think if people are willing to be flexible and versatile enough to figure out what they can attach to that they love and are passionate about and helps other people, then they'll have success.
I love that because it's not just about you getting through COVID, it's helping others, right? Get through
Absolutely.
as well.
Absolutely.
Now tell me, as a man, what's your sort of one hope for men? Like you talk a lot about finding your passion, and that's amazing that you're able to live your passion. You know, what is one bit of advice or hope that you have for men in this moment?
My one hope for men, I would say that everybody, every male, accepts that challenge of finding a way to support our young men.
Mm,
Growing up in Lansing and playing at Michigan State and then getting to the NBA, there's been challenges and there's been obstacles and there's been times where I had to take a step back to take two steps forward.
mhm,
And so I think a lot of that information is things that I can share with the younger population to help them understand. Don't ever quit. Don't ever give up. Keep on fighting harder. Listen to people who are positively trying to go positive places, and really stay focused about trying to achieve your goals. And so for all the men who are, doing their thing, whatever that thing is, but trying to find a way to positively impact society. Find a kid, be a mentor, find some young fellow who's maybe struggling and give him a hand, or find some situation that you can financially support a little bit. And personally, I think that goes a long way because usually what will happen is that kid will then find a way to help someone else, and someone to help someone else. And before you know it, you get a lot more help going on. And that's the area where I think men can be really beneficial.
wonderful. Sam, you have the best heart. You are always willing to jump in and help. I know that from firsthand experience. So grateful for it. And I just want to say congratulations on this new journey with AAU. And we're looking forward to figuring out ways to help you in this new space. And last but not least, thank you for sharing your journey. I sincerely appreciate it. And I know it's going to be very helpful for someone as they're thinking through their pivot and falling into their purpose. Be proud of you and thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you so much, Crystal. I really appreciate it. And it's been an honor to join you on your show. I wish you all the best of luck with your new endeavors. And I genuinely look forward to reconnecting in the future and finding ways to work together.
Thank you. Have a Merry Christmas.
All right. Take care. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.